Howdy, howdy, and welcome to episode 15 of hp1704 Answers Your Queries.
It's time to drink up all the beers. He is going to call you all a bunch of queers. It's the man with the mustache, you know him well. Answering your questions is his living hell. He likes to hunt and sleeps with a 12 gauge. He doesn't ask any questions about your sister's age. Talking to the nerds of NoobTube, yelling yob and touching your mother's boob. Just remember, all you pussies, to be a dick, or you join the wall made out of retard bricks. Shout hooray or scream out for more. Here is the one and only hp1704.
For those of you who don't know, this is a weekly show where I answer the questions and queries of the NoobTube community. Now, over the almost year I've been doing this show, I've gotten a lot of what I would consider trick questions. And so episode 15 is going to be a trick question extravaganza. So here we go.
What is your favorite passage in the Bible, and why?
Well, Tricker, this is a trick question because it's asking me basically to choose which of God's words I like more. No, it's all good. It's God, you know. There's no bad passage in the Bible. It's all good. If I had to pick one, I like Revelations, you know. I like stuff about the rapture where, you know, I'm going to go to heaven real quick and all my clothes are still going to be here and so are all you people. You can look in my clothes or whatever, but I'll be in heaven, you know, and then you'll experience hell on earth. So that's cool for you, and it's cool for me. So everyone wins when it comes to the rapture, really. Next.
If train A leaves Chicago traveling 100 miles per hour, and train B leaves New York traveling 150 miles per hour, and the distance between the two cities is 600 miles, how far from New York will it be when the two trains meet?
Well, Aaron D. Bowen, the answer to your question is 600 miles. If you've ever been to Union Station in Chicago, you know that train is not leaving on time. It might not leave at all. The one from New York is going to make it all the way there. And you're still going to be sitting there with like little kids running and yelling in the train, and you're like, where are the parents? Why am I sitting here on this train pretending to read a magazine? I don't like reading. What am I doing here? And that's when I leave the train. This is all hypothetical. Next.
What was your least favorite high school class when you went in high school, and why?
Well, Draco, this is a trick question because the 04 did not go to high school. I do not need higher education. You know, everything that I need to know I learned in the first, second, and third grades. If I had to pick one, you know, a high school course that I would know I would not like, the answer would be home economics. First of all, it's a misnomer. You don't really learn about economics or the economics of the home. You know, you're like baking and shit. This is not the class for me. You know, I can hunt and then put my meat over an open fire. That's it. That's all I need. And I got those. I don't need a class for it. That's not in the home either. I mean, that's like deer blind economics, you know, and that's not something they teach. That's all you need, deer blind economics. Next.
If you were given the opportunity of shave your mustache to gain the privilege to sleep with any woman or man you want, would you do it? And if so, who would that be?
Well, Fry, this is a trick question because the 04 can sleep with anyone he wants. I do not need to shave my mustache. I can sleep with the woman who's going to be the president in 2012 without shaving it. So, you know, who else do I need? You know, what else do I need? I am the cuckolder of the husband of the next president. So that's a pretty cool place to be. And, you know, I still got my mustache. So, whatever, you know, whatever. Next.
How come Chuck Norris got his ass kicked by Bruce Lee?
Okay, Shogun. I'm gonna lay this out for you real quick and real easy. Chuck Norris let himself get his ass kicked by Bruce Lee because it's in the script. And that's how good of an actor Chuck Norris is. He can pretend that he's getting his ass kicked. That's just how good he is. Who would win in a fight between them if the cameras weren't rolling? Which one of the two of them is dead? There's your answer. Next.
If you could put 3 types of food together, like turducken, what would they be?
But this is a trick question because 2/3 of my answer has already been created. In Wisconsin, we have a soup called beer cheese soup. Okay? And then I just put some meat snacks in that bad boy. And then it's beer cheese meat snack soup. And that's pretty much the best thing ever. You put that in a thermos, you take that up in the deer blind with you, you are good for like a week. That's all you need. You know, I got a big thermos. Next.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, Avaloner, since God did not make eggs, the chicken came first. And then God made the chickens fuck. And then, you know, eggs, hello. Clearly the chicken came first because the Bible makes no mention of, you know, and then God made a whole bunch of eggs, you know. And then he like put them in an incubator. And every day after school, God looked at his eggs and he was like, oh, I think it's moving. You know, no. God did not do that. God made a chicken. And he's like, you will taste like everything. And everything will taste like you. Because you look funny. And you're a coward. And you're going to be synonymous with cowardice. Next!
If you were going on a beer run, what would be your ideal vehicle to pick up the beer and drink it in?
A beer truck. Next! Now it's time for our featured Queerstion of the week. And this week, our featured Queerstion comes from Zombie, who writes,
If America ceased to exist, what country would you go to live in?
This is a double-decker trick Queerstion, because there are 2 reasons why America will never cease to exist. First of all, America is clearly God's favorite country. We are God's country. Let's pretend for a second that God can't choose his favorite country for whatever reason. You know, like my Bible passage Queerstion. You know, he loves all the countries the same. Yeah, right. You ever been to Rwanda? You know that shit ain't true. If America is not God's favorite country for some reason, it still would never cease to exist because we are one nation under God. When Jesus wrote the Pledge of Allegiance, he made sure we all knew, you know, like Atlas holding up the globe, America holds up God in the sky. So if we cease to exist, God would fall. You know, he'd fall in like Mexico, and no one wants that. Trust me, no one wants that. Short of living in America, I guess I'd live in Alaska. No, that's part of America, isn't it? I'd live in Hawaii. No, still America. Puerto Rico, no. Guam, the Virgin Islands, hello. No. First of all, they wouldn't let me anywhere near the Virgin Islands. They'd have to change the name. Maybe I'd live in Canada and be the smartest person there. Be like, hey, everybody, you're all dumb. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'd live in England and be the only person with a gun there. You know, that might be pretty cool. Like, oh, HP, there's a gang over there. And I'd be like, well, I have a fucking gun. You know, I'll just shoot them in the head. If that's cool with everybody. You know, guns don't kill people, guns save lives by killing bad people. Well, that's all the Queerstions for this week. If you want to leave me a Queerstion for next week or the rest of Season 2, you can post in this thread. You can PM me personally, or you can message me on YouTube, or you can, you know, send a fax. I don't have a fax machine, but you could just send it to, you know, somebody will give it to me, sure. That's all the Queerstions for this week. Till next week, I'm done. Yob.